The movie opens in 1974 in an antique and vintage shop, where the shop owner Victoria Granger reveals her horrible story to Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are expecting a child. With a scared look and stuttering voice, she recalls the incidents that happened in her shop recently. The story begins with her father, who felt an unusual and eerie presence in the shop. But Victoria brushed it off, attributing it to his old age. But one fateful day, when she opened her shop in the morning, she found her father's lifeless body hanging in the middle of the store. Left utterly stunned and shocked to the core, she had no choice but to call for help from Ed and Lorraine. She adds that the evil entity then started to follow her wherever she went, and she thinks that there is something inside the store that is the source of all the evil. The couple decides to look for clues, and soon enough, come to find an antique mirror with angel faces carved above it. Lorraine immediately senses the evil presence coming from inside the mirror, and being young and inexperienced, she touches the object. The surface of the mirror cracks immediately, and her reflection suddenly exhibits a demonic smile, as if the demon is taunting her. But to make matters worse, she gets a flashback of Victoria's father hanging himself, and of her unborn child in her womb. This shock makes her go into labor, and she screams for her husband Ed. This hints at the fact that the demon has left its mark on her unborn child. Ed runs to her aid and rushes her to the hospital, and while on the way, with a horrified voice, she tells her husband that there was something very evil in the mirror. Upon reaching the hospital, the doctors try to help in her delivery, but right at this moment, when she is in her most vulnerable state, a demon climbs the wall of the hospital room, and a terrified Lorraine calls for her husband. She requests him not to let the demon harm the baby, and after quite some effort, the baby finally comes out. Just when it seemed that the worst has passed, the doctors find out that the baby is stillborn. They try their best to revive the little one, but even after a minute has passed, the baby does not show any signs of life. Sadly, they declare the baby dead, and a heartbroken Lorraine demands to hold her daughter in her arms. The couple grieve holding their child, and she pleads to God for a miracle. Fortunately, a miracle does happen, and the room lights up with the cries of the baby, as if God has heard her prayers and blessed them with the life of their child. She names her child Judy, and a new chapter begins in their life. The following scenes show the happy moments of Judy's childhood along with her parents. But one such day, Judy sees a spirit which terrifies her, and she comes running to her mother. She explains to Lorraine that she has been seeing things, and those things are not leaving her alone. This tells us that she has the gift of clairvoyance. Lorraine comforts her and teaches her a song which calms her mind and advises her to use it whenever she feels scared. This is a simple technique using which she can shut off her visions. The scene shifts to 1986, and we are introduced to the Smurl family, comprising of 8 members. They are a cheerful and carefree family, and we soon see the confirmation of Heather Smurl. To celebrate this event, the grandparents gift her a mirror which turns out to be the same haunted mirror that we saw in the beginning of the movie. Their pet dog immediately starts barking at it, but the unsuspecting family continues their enjoyment. Soon, they decorate a cake, and just as Heather was about to blow off the candle, someone else blows it out. She suspects her younger sister and blames her for ruining her moment, but the little girl denies the accusation. Not giving much attention to the issue, the family continues having dinner. But this is when, out of the blue, a tube light falls on her head, plunging the room into darkness and injuring Heather in the process. Her mother, Janet Smurl, tends to her wounds, and we are shown that after decades of investigating the supernatural, Ed and Lorraine had seen every possible case. But in 1986, in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, they would face an evil unlike anything they have ever encountered, and this case would devastate their family and bring their career to an end. The scene cuts to a restaurant where the Warrens are having dinner with their beloved daughter Judy. Here we learn that they have stopped taking cases, owing to Ed having heart problems. His birthday is around the corner, and in order to celebrate this event, Judy proposes to invite her boyfriend, Tony, to their home. But just as Lorraine was about to order something, she feels an eerie presence near them, and sure enough, she hears Judy sing the song which she used to calm herself. She comforts her daughter, but right at this moment, she sees demonic hands resting on her shoulder. This spooks her, and Ed notices this, but when asked about it, both of them try to play cool, and hence he does not give much thought to it. Next day at the Smurl household, while Janet is in the basement, she feels an unknown presence watching her, but still she brushes it off and returns to her daily chores. But while she was on call with her friend, her phone cord gets pulled, and then this happens. She is left utterly shocked by this incident, but decides to keep it a secret, so as not to disturb the other members of the family. That night, Heather, along with her sister Dawn, decides to get rid of the antique mirror as it looked creepy to both of them, and hence they dump it outside their house. Next morning, the workers came as usual and took the mirror in their truck. The machine inside the truck crushes the mirror into pieces, but this is when Dawn feels uneasy. Soon enough, she vomits blood and, along with it, some glass shards. The family is horrified after seeing this, and the glass shards remind Heather of the mirror, and this sends her in panic mode. On the other hand, Ed is visiting his doctor, who informs him that the condition of his heart does not look good, and he needs to maintain a healthy diet, and on top of all, needs to stay away from paranormal investigations, as he cannot afford having heart attacks. Back at his home, the Warrens are celebrating his birthday, and Judy brings Tony to their house. Tony gets acquainted with Father Gordon, and this is where we learn that Tony is an ex-cop. Back in her room, Judy is reminiscing about her childhood by looking at some pictures, and this is when she feels an ominous presence lurking around her. Sure enough, we see Annabelle rocking her chair with an eerie smile. Judy tries to calm herself by singing her childhood song that Lorraine taught her, and soon, the spirit disappears. But this is when Tony enters her room and asks her about the song. Acting a bit shy, she tells him about her story, and they decide to sing together. While singing, the two come close to each other and start kissing, but are interrupted by Lorraine, who had come to check in on Judy. Tony departs, giving the mother-daughter duo some personal space, and this is when Lorraine asks her daughter about her mental well-being. She lets Judy know that she is aware of her frequent visions in which she sees the evil spirits. Using decades of experience, Lorraine advises her daughter to shut off her visions using the song, and even though Judy wants to use her visions, Lorraine insists on shutting it off as the visions disturb the mental well-being of a person. Tony, on the other hand, tries to take the Warrens' blessing and hence asks for their opinion as he is about to propose to Judy with a ring. Lorraine is elated by this news, but Ed remains skeptical about Tony and tries to delay his proposal. Right at this moment, Judy arrives and, upon seeing the ring, feels overjoyed. To keep Judy happy, Tony slides the ring on her fingers, and Ed has no choice but to give them his blessing. After the party ends, Father Gordon informs them about a case in Pennsylvania, but the Warrens decline the offer as they have quit their work due to Ed's heart condition. On the other hand, the Smurl family argues about the recent happenings, and although Heather and Dawn demand to leave the present house, their father Jack denies them as they are a family of 8, and he cannot afford a motel for all of them. That night, while in bed, Jack gets attacked by the demonic spirit from the mirror, and we see him levitate and lose control of his body. For a brief moment, we also see the reflection of the entity moving towards him. Downstairs, Heather decides to watch the video of the night of her confirmation, but to her horror, finds out that it was the demon that had blown out the candle that day. As if this is not enough, she sees a huge man with long hair, holding an axe standing in the corner of the room. She is beyond terrified after seeing this, and the man attacks her with his weapon. The poor girl screams at the top of her voice, and Janet runs to her daughter, followed by Jack, who was released by the demon a few moments ago. Not understanding how to solve this situation, they approach the press and explain their issue to the general masses. Their news is covered across the country, and the Smurls request help from anyone that can provide it. The scene shifts to Lorraine and Judy, who are shopping for a dress for Judy's upcoming engagement. The shop owner takes Judy to the changing room, but while fixing her dress, the owner had to leave her alone to take a phone call. While Judy is busy looking at the mirror, the door of the room opens and someone starts to fix her dress. Thinking it to be the shop owner, she initiates small talk but gets no response. To her horror, a demonic figure of an old woman appears from under her dress, and simultaneously, the lights go out. She panics and tries to sing her song, and fortunately the lights turn back on. But as soon as she turns around, this happens. Escaping from the demon's grasp, she falls to the floor, and Lorraine rushes inside the room to comfort her. Next day, Father Gordon arrives at the Smurl household and blesses the house with holy water, but to his horror, finds out that the holy water is evaporating in an unnatural way. Understanding that this matter is beyond his power, he runs to the church for help. There, he meets with a receptionist and asks to see the bishop. After confirming his meeting via call, she asks him to wait, and he sees a man cleaning the floor with a vacuum cleaner. But as soon as he looks back, the receptionist is gone as if she has vanished into thin air. All of a sudden the phone rings, and upon picking up, a demon mimics Judy's voice and asks him to leave. He is taken aback by her cryptic message, and out of the blue, the room turns dark. The cross on the door knob turns upside down, and the exit door closes, trapping him inside. Thinking quickly, he brings out his cross and starts reciting prayers. But to our shock, the cross burns and Father Gordon has no choice but to let go of it. As soon as he lets go, the demon possesses him, and post that, he exits the room and uses the cord of the vacuum cleaner to end his own life. Back at the Warrens, Ed takes Tony to the room where they keep cursed objects. Tony is amazed by their collection, and this is where Ed reveals to him that Judy was stillborn and her coming back to life was a miracle. He informs him that Judy means the world to him and asks Tony if he can take Judy's responsibility. But before Tony could answer, Judy and Lorraine enter the room and inform them about Father Gordon's death. At the funeral, everyone expresses their condolences. After everyone departs, Judy touches the casket, and it feels as if she is having visions about Father Gordon. While departing, the Warrens are approached by Father Ziegler, who expresses appreciation for their work. Taking this opportunity, Judy asks him about Father Gordon's purpose of visiting the church, and here, she comes to know that it was related to the Smurl family from Pennsylvania. That day, while Lorraine is cleaning the dishes, her sink gets clogged, and while trying to unclog it, she finds a necklace with Judy's picture in it. Soon the water in the sink turns blood red and blood overflows from it. Ed pulls Lorraine out of her vision, and they understand that Judy is in danger. Sure enough, Tony comes knocking at their door, and here, we get to learn that Judy has gone to visit the Smurl family. Ed, Lorraine, and Tony visit the place with the intention of bringing her back, but she insists on staying and reminds them that they are known for helping people, and she cannot run away after seeing the danger that the Smurl family is in. Giving in to their daughter's demands, the duo decide to help them out, and hence Ed asks them about their entire story. Meanwhile, Judy pulls Tony aside and tells him that she has a strange feeling that something wanted her to come to that place. While preparing dinner, Tony opens up to Ed that one day while he was investigating a domestic violence call, a man had held a shotgun to his head and pulled the trigger, but luckily, the gun was jammed and hence it did not fire. That day made him realize how much he wants to live his life to the fullest and marry Judy and have kids. That day while Judy and Lorraine were investigating the house, they hear whispers coming from the first floor of the house. Lorraine decides to follow it, and it eventually leads her inside a room where she hears screams and cries of the previous owners of the land. She explains to Ed that before the Smurls, another family used to reside in that land. The woman of the family had an extramarital affair, and upon getting discovered, she was killed by her husband with an axe. He did not stop there and also killed his mother-in-law. She adds that these spirits have been tormenting the Smurls, but apart from these three, there is an unknown demonic spirit that is forcing them to harm humans. That evening, Judy hears Lorraine calling her from the attic, but upon going there, finds the place completely empty. Nevertheless, she starts investigating the place and finds the mirror that Heather and Dawn had thrown out a few days ago. She impulsively touches the mirror, and as soon as she does this, a piece of chalk comes rolling towards her. To her horror, she finds the words "Miss Me" written on the walls of the attic. Right then, the armchair starts rocking and a terrified Judy runs out of the attic. But while escaping, she hears a voice calling her name, and as soon as she opens the door, we see a doll resembling Annabelle sitting in the middle of the room. Soon, it starts changing form and becomes immensely tall. The doll then chases Judy, and after losing her footing, Judy accidentally falls down the stairs. With a scared but faint voice, she complains to her parents that there is something in the attic. Ed and Lorraine visit the attic and to their bewilderment, see the haunted mirror which they saw 20 years ago on the day of Judy's birth. Lorraine touches it again, and this time, she feels that something has changed since they last saw it. The Warrens have no choice but to explain to the Smurls that 20 years ago, they encountered a haunted mirror, and it contained a powerful demon which almost cost them their baby's life. They were inexperienced and scared and hence ran away from there, and since then, they had not seen it. But now the mirror has found them, and this time, they will help the Smurls. That night, Judy falls sick and Lorraine tends to her daughter. Meanwhile, Ed, Jack, and Tony cover the mirror with a piece of cloth and bind it with straps. Ed asks Tony to get the car ready as they are going to transport the mirror to the artifact room, as it is the only place where they can safely store it. While Tony tries to get the car ready, Ed and Jack try to bring the mirror downstairs, but things soon go sideways. The straps come undone by themselves, and an unknown force removes the cloth. A scared Jack looks at the mirror and soon loses his footing and falls down the attic. Ed is not strong enough to hold the mirror alone, and it soon falls on Jack's leg, injuring him in the process. Lorraine tries to help Ed, but he asks her to stay with the rest of the members. Meanwhile, while Tony is driving, he comes face to face with the demon standing in the middle of the road, and this makes him crash the car against a barricade at the side of the road. But when he tries to look for the entity, he finds the road completely empty. Back inside the house, we see Judy sitting quietly in a corner of the room. When approached, she speaks in a demonic voice which tells Lorraine that it has been waiting very patiently for Judy to come back to it. She chases her mother on all fours and pushes Lorraine downstairs into the basement. Tony tries to enter the house, but finds the door locked, and this is when the dog starts barking at Judy. With her powers, she hurls the poor creature to the walls. She focuses her attention to her father, who tries to talk sense to his daughter, but she hits him hard in the chest, and this makes him have a heart attack. Post that, a possessed Judy walks upstairs into the attic and Tony tries to break the front door. At the basement, Lorraine is met by the spirit of the giant man who had killed his wife and mother-in-law, and the scene repeats itself in front of her eyes. Luckily, Tony comes in from the back door and rescues her from the basement. The Smurls manage to break the door and escape from that house, and while waiting in the streets, they pray to God to end their nightmare. Meanwhile, Ed manages to take his pills, and this saves his life. Lorraine and Tony rejoin him, and she informs Ed that the demon wanted to possess Judy since the day of her birth, and to fend off the demon, she gets the Holy Bible. As soon as the trio go up the attic in search of Judy, to their consternation find her hanging, with a rope around her neck. Tony and Ed try to rescue her, and somehow manage to cut the rope. Her fall made them fall through the attic and into the first floor of the house. But they find out that she is not breathing. Using all his strength, Ed tries to resuscitate her using chest compressions. But right at this moment, the demon from the mirror grabs his throat and chokes him. Tony wastes no time and takes Ed's place. He finally manages to revive Judy, and right after opening her eyes, she starts to sing the song to escape from this ordeal. But to add to their horror, the mirror levitates and starts spinning, as if the demon is ready to deal the finishing blow. Thinking quickly, Ed opens the Bible and starts his prayers. The mirror does stop, but in the very next moment, it falls on Tony's foot and cuts him deeply. But the demon was not done yet, and the mirror now falls on Tony's throat while he gasps for air. Seeing no other way, Lorraine encourages her daughter to stop the song and embrace her gift of clairvoyance. For the first time in her life, she encourages Judy to face the demon. Empowered by her mother, Judy fights back alongside her family, and the three of them use all their strength and finally manage to defeat the demon. The mirror finally falls motionless on the floor, and the nightmare ends for the Smurl family. Next morning, the Warrens bid farewell to the Smurls, and after returning to their home, Ed hands over the key of the artifact room to Tony, signifying the fact that Tony has earned his trust. The film concludes with Judy and Tony getting married in a church in the company of their parents. The scene also serves as a farewell for Ed and Lorraine Warren, as Lorraine had a vision of the future where they managed to write a book about their life and spend their last days happily with their grandchildren. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you like this recap, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And please don't forget to check out the other videos on the channel.